Alright, so this is a fairly brief video for Chapter 4 of Ecce Romani, in which we're going to look at the concept of cases in Latin. So we already went over in the video on direct objects that Latin is what's called an inflected language. And English is a little inflected as well. Latin is much more inflected, so we can call it highly inflected. And what that means is that the word endings change based on their meaning in a sentence. That the word endings change based on whether a noun is singular or plural. That's called number. So when we talk about noun number, that's singular or plural. Endings change based on whether the noun is masculine or feminine, or, and we haven't seen neuter yet, but it is there. And that is known as gender. So these are the two characteristics of gender. These are the two characteristics of nouns that we have seen so far, or that we've really seen so far. But there's a third characteristic as well. There's a third facet of all nouns, and that is their case. And case is a noun's use in a sentence. So we've seen one major example of case so far that was introduced to you in the direct objects, and that is the direct object. So when a noun is a subject, it can have a particular ending. It can end in an A. It can end in an AE if it's plural. It can end in a US or an R or a long I if it's plural. And then when it becomes the direct object, its endings all of a sudden change. It might end in an AM or a UM, and we see examples even in chapter 4 of it ending in an EM. So that's when it becomes a direct object, and this is known as a separate case. So direct objects are one case, subjects are another case, and those cases have technical names. We call the subject case the nominative, and we call the direct object case the accusative. And this is an idea that we're going to expand much more, because there's more than just the subject and the object case. There's more than just the nominative and accusative, which means that there are more endings that we're going to continue to add on. As a matter of fact, there are a lot more endings. We have the nominative case. We have a case called the genitive. We have a case called the dative. We have the accusative. And we have the ablative. So this is not to overwhelm you. There are actually two more as well that are more minor cases. This is not to overwhelm you at all, but just to give you some perspective. Right now we've learned some of the nominative, and we've learned some of the accusative. Now what's interesting about each one of these is that they have common masculine and feminine endings. So we've seen in the nominative, we've seen the masculine endings of US and R, and we've seen the feminine endings of A. And in the accusative, we've seen the masculine ending of UM, and we've seen the feminine ending of AM. And then they also have plural endings as well. So we've seen the masculine nominative ending, which is the long I, so that's plural, and we've seen the AE, which is plural. We have not seen the accusative plurals yet, and we haven't seen, although we actually have seen them, but we haven't looked closely at any of the other endings. So you can kind of visualize this chart that we're going to slowly fill in. with more endings, and gain some more knowledge about what the cases are for. So this is really just a video to give you some perspective of what we're going to see as we go forward. The next endings that we're really going to learn are going to be these ones, the ones in the accusative plural, so that instead of just having a singular direct object, Cornelia annoys Sextus, or Cornelia annoys the boy, we can have a plural direct object. Cornelia annoys the boys. So that's where we're going next. But for now, this is what you should know in terms of endings. If you don't know them, if you're unclear about them, I'd recommend memorizing them. I'd recommend asking me a question about them. And we can sort it all out, although this will be the sort of thing that we're going to have tons of practice on. So just stick with it. We'll see it again and again and again, and hopefully with a lot of practice, it'll become second nature. Thanks for watching.